ගරු ගජේන්ද්‍රන් කුමාර් පොන්නම්බල පළම මන්ත්‍රීතුමා ඔබතුමාට විනාඩි 8ක කාලයක් ලැබෙනවා.
There are no speakers, no? Can I have a little bit more time? Huh? Honorable Presiding Member, I thank you for allocating some time to speak on this adjournment motion brought by the Honorable Vasudevan Anayakara. Sir, we are debating, or rather we are expressing our opinions on this adjournment motion at a time when the Jaffna Teaching Hospital has only one CT scan, and that CT scan, because it has not been serviced, cannot be used. And all cancer patients who need to be scanned and other patients are not being scanned, and they run the risk of their malignancy spreading. Now that is Jaffna. Yesterday I read in the papers that even in Colombo, the hospital is facing a similar scenario. I contacted the health secretary, and he told me that the organization that services the CT scans have submitted an enormous bill for these services to be done, and therefore the ministry cannot afford to pay it. Now that is the situation in the country, sir, where ordinary citizens are unable to go to hospital to get the sort of health care that what you would call a welfare state that provides free health care should guarantee. That is the reality in which we live. Because why? Because Sri Lanka's economy has fallen to such low levels that you are scraping the barrel. And when you are scraping the barrel, Honorable Presiding Member, you are forced to find ways and means to try and lift yourself up. And this government believes that in doing that, in trying to do that, you have to align with certain countries and vested interests. The previous government also felt that it had to align with certain vested interests. So the reality, Honorable Presiding Member, is not that this government all of a sudden, because Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe is well known to be quite cozy with Western countries, with India, whereas the previous regime is known to be, on the other hand, somewhat close to countries like China and non-Western influenced countries. So you have a scenario where when the regime has changed, and ironically it is these Rajapaksas who themselves have today, since they have fallen to such low levels, have to depend on Wickremesinghe to try and save their name. That you have a scenario where you have, as the Honorable Vasudevan Anayakara pointed out, where you have an American security delegation that comes. Now, sir, my point is something deeper. My point is much, much deeper. I have said this several times in this house. When Sri Lanka is situated in the geographical location that we are, as the Honorable Vasudevan Anayakara and also I think members of the government benches also pointed out, when Sri Lanka is in a particular geographical location that has strategic interests, there will always be big powers interested in this island. That you can't deny it. And when that interest is there, when you know that those interests are there, then you have to from the very beginning be mature enough to try and make sure that you don't upset the apple cart, that you don't go to one side too much, that concerns are raised to such an extent by the others that they will somehow try and rectify that situation using the domestic situation. Now in Sri Lanka that happened. That is the reality. It is not something that is new. It has been there for the last 75 years. The political party affiliations in this country have been to cater to big power interests. That is the reality. And the reason, and this is the sad part, the underlying reason for trying to align with one power or the other, the underlying reason has been to somehow try and contain Tamil rights, to somehow try and make sure that your agenda for making Sri Lanka a Sinhala Buddhist country only, to say that it only belongs to the Sinhala Buddhists and nobody else, and thereby to make sure that the Tamils cannot claim their rights in this country, you choose to align yourself. And when you choose one way, then the regime changes and then you have to swing the other way. And today you've hit rock bottom where you have to beg whoever it may be. And when it is obviously President Ranil Wickremesinghe who's in power, he will naturally go towards and lean towards the countries that he feels most comfortable with. The reality, Honourable Presiding Member, is that Sri Lanka, being the country that it is and being situated in the place that it is, has to only seriously consider its neighbours' national security interests. India is the primary country that you must be careful about, because India, as a big power in the region, has legitimate security concerns when it comes to what and how Sri Lanka acts. For as long as you can be concerned and take steps in a way that does not unnecessarily unravel India's concerns, the rest is something that you can manage. You can easily manage if you have your home in order, if you can sort out your house problems, if you can make sure that all the people in this country feel that it is their own country, if the Tamil rights are recognized, if you build a culture where this does not only belong to the Sinhala Buddhists, but all others, the Tamils, the Muslims, the upcountry Tamils, then nobody can divide you. Nobody can divide you. And whoever who tries it will also fail. But no, you rather go after your racist agenda, which you have done in the last 75 years. You rather therefore align today, if it is convenient, with one power and tomorrow with another. And at the end of the day, there is a price to pay, because each power will come after you. When you lean against that power, when a regime changes, there is a quid pro quo, and you will have to pay that price. And that is what is happening, Honourable Presiding Member. The Honourable Vasudeva Nanayakara is a very senior member. Today, sir, in the north, we have a situation when Gotabaya Rajapaksa was president. He sold sea cucumber fishing rights, farming rights to individuals in the north. We all know who was behind that. It was China. And that created a massive problem. The local fishermen could not go into the sea, could not get into the lagoon. Why? Because your big power friend wanted to have some sort of presence, and the people who suffered were the ordinary people, ordinary Tamil people. Today, you have to swing the other way. Na? So what do? You sign an agreement. You're willing to sign off an agreement with India, whose legitimate security concerns you called into question by allowing such a presence for sea cucumber fishing. Today you have to sign an agreement with India to allow Indian fishermen to come and use the Tamil people's fishing waters. Areas that for the last 35 years was denied them because of the war. Those people are pauperized. When today they are trying to get up, because you chose to swing towards China earlier, today to counterbalance that, you are swinging towards India, and the people who suffer are the ordinary people. Ordinary people. We don't want this, sir. Honourable Presiding Member, we have been opposed to this. We have repeatedly been saying that we do not want the Northeast to become a geopolitical playground. Because ultimately it is we who suffer. Ultimately it is we who suffer. But you will suffer. This country will suffer. Because you rather have your racist agenda And when you have that racist agenda, for it to succeed, you will have to go behind some power or the other, and you will keep swinging. You will keep swinging. You will keep selling. You will keep selling until you've entirely sold this country's soul. And that is where we're heading. Nobody can deny that. That is where we're heading. So if the Honorable Vasudeva Nanayakkara, as he, in my view, legitimately raised concerns, is to be fair, then he must raise the concerns the other way as well. He must raise the concerns the other way and then actually go into a soul searching. Go into a soul searching to find out why this is happening. And if you do that, you will find that at the end of the day, it is nobody else's fault. It is the racism in this country that is ultimately at fault. It is ultimately at fault. And if we can correct that, Honorable Presiding Member, I am pretty certain that we will have nobody else than the Tamils who will be willing to support you in making sure that this country doesn't get sold to anybody. But instead is in fact for the betterment of everybody who lives here. With one proviso, that India's national security concerns are legitimate when it comes to Sri Lanka. And for as long as you don't recognize that primacy of place, then you will always fall into trouble. Thank you, sir.